So that's the edits I found.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? We're up and good.
We are up and good.
I call the meeting on January 22nd of the 2024 of the Bold School District to order here at 7:00 p.m. Roll call, we have all board members present, so members Bowen, Pepple, Benson, Sheehan, Frank, and Superintendent Minton are here. So we have a quorum. Would everyone please stand and we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would there be a motion to approve the agenda as in our board packet? Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by member Sheehan and seconded by member Pepple to approve the agenda as printed in the packet. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries to approve the agenda. Okay, thank you to those here online that are attending the meeting tonight, as well as those that are in the audience. Thank you for being part of our meeting tonight. And I also want to reiterate our mission statement for Bold, and that is to provide all learners in the Bold community an education designed to develop the creativity, character, confidence, and skills essential to flourish in a changing global society. So we will now move on to part 5, our public forum. Is there anyone here wanting to speak at the public forum? Anyone here wanting to speak? Okay, we have no one to speak tonight at the public forum, so we will now move on to our consent items. We have 3 consent items tonight. That would be to approve our bills for payment, approve the minutes from the December 18th, 2023 regular meeting, and approve the minutes from the January 3rd, 2024 organizational. Those are enclosures 1 and 2 in your packet. Is there a motion for the consent items?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second for the consent?
Oh, I'll second it.
It's been moved by member Bowen and seconded by member Benson to approve the consent items. Is there any discussion? Any discussion on the consent items? Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to vote on the consent items. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries on the consent items. Okay, we are now on to part 7, our reports. So we will start with our superintendent report. Jim?
All right. Real quick, something I didn't have listed on there, but I did get an email about the MSBA Day at the Capitol. That's on 9 o'clock on Monday, March 18th. I attended that last year, and there's a lot of board members from districts that go to that. And it's well worth it if you are so inclined to do that. I believe you got an email on that as well. So, but if you didn't see it and you want more information on that, just let me know. Again, that's on March 18th. We got our bond sale and rating. Our bond sale happened today. I'm going to sort of read parts of this from Ryan Fetters, but we did very well. And when I spoke with Ryan earlier today, he really wanted to give Amy, make sure that we understand the great job that Amy Schmidt did for us. Said that she really represented us well and did a great job. She said an outstanding job, handled it like a pro, and had all of the answers to go. And we we ended up getting an A rating from the state, and it was the best that we could do. And that really helped us out when we went to the bond sale today. We sold the entire $39,950,000. And I didn't mention we had a AAA enhancement from Standard & Poor's. This good rating generated 11 bids, which was excellent participation in the process here. And we chose Mesro Financial, who had the best bid for our district. It provides a true interest cost of only 4.12%. So as part of the bond sale, there's a premium involved that this is really what we use to choose which is the best company to go with. And so they are actually giving us back a premium of $4,363,914.95, which we're going to be able to use to offset, pay some of the costs, including the issuance costs. We received a good faith deposit today of $399,500, and we'll receive the rest of the balance on the day of closing. And that day of closing is February 21st. It's a great result for us, and we really did well. So, so we should be proud of that. That's speaks well of where we're at as a district.
Thank you, Amy, for all your hard work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to reiterate how crucial Amy's input and her work went into us getting that good of a bond rating. So there's two things that go into it. Amy and her input and being able to answer all the questions when she was asked. And second, our financial standing of the district itself. So that shows two strong things where we sit right now.
So, yeah, thanks again.
Kudos.
We've got Paraprofessional Appreciation Week coming up on this week here. We'll be doing some things to recognize our paras throughout the week. They do a fantastic, they support a fantastic role for the school, and we wouldn't be able to educate kids without them. I was going to say something about the swimming pool. I think Tracy's here, so she'll be able to talk here.
I got one question real quick. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
How many pairs do we have?
We have about 19?
We have 19,
19.
actually 20 today.
Oh, did we hire one today? Excellent. The project update, we've got our design team, which has met twice now. We'll meet one more time as a design team. We've formed user groups. So a user group would be groups of people by where they work. Grade kindergarten user group, or a pool user group, or a theater group, science groups. And there's about 13 groups. We're going to be meeting with Principal Benson and me, with the architects and project manager from Nexus to really hash out what is needed in each of these areas. We need the user input to make sure that we put together something that is relevant to their needs, and our job is to make sure that we do it under budget. So that'll be coming up. We're going to have 3 meetings with each of those user groups. So a lot of meetings come up. With that, something that we won't talk about tonight, but I want to put on your radar and everyone's radar, is that for the 25 school year, for the next coming school year, the fiscal year 25, we're going to probably want to look at our calendar. I think Nexus is going to ask if we could consider starting a week or 2 weeks early in August. What that does, there's about a 55 day build season over the summer. And so when you increase it by 10 days or even 5 days, you're really giving them a lot more time to get done what they need to get done. So just so everyone knows that, I'll be getting you more information on that probably before the next board meeting here. Let's see, the MSBA conference, attended that, got up there with Todd and with Greg, and we sat through the phase 1 and 2 trainings. I thought they did a great job. We learned more about school finance than you probably even thought possible. And it was good. I'm glad I got to go to that. Good sessions and well worth it.
Any special sessions you guys went to that you liked?
We can talk about that here at the committee reports, but I'll add that I really liked, there was a lot on technology, a lot on AI. At the first presenter, there was actually a gasp in the room when we found out that Minnesota, when you look at the rankings among states on their computer science training, Minnesota ranks last in the United States. And that was stunning to us. So we really, I think we need to start looking at some of the things that we do. Teaching computer science is scary for teachers because they think, I don't know what to do. But it's actually, the curricula out there are very good at putting that at a level where we can all, anyone can teach this really, at least at a beginning level. So I'd like to look into that more. I think that was a kind of a call to arms with that. Other than that, that's the end of my report. And again, we'll talk about the conference here with committee reports, I suppose.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Second report would be our K through 12 principal report. Brett is not here this evening, but that would be enclosure number 3 in your packet. If you have any questions, ask Brett. And
I would, if I could just
Jim.
add a little bit for Brett here. We tucked this in for you. We are starting a program that they started in Hutchinson a long time ago. Chad Harlander has been heading it up over there. And it was Chad, the Viking Chad Greenway was a big proponent of this. And it's a program that it reaches out to kids who are struggling, not necessarily struggling with grades, but they might be a straight A student, but they don't have support they need at home, or maybe they're struggling with other issues that can be identified and they can receive help through this program. If anybody wants to ever tour Hutchinson, I could arrange for that. I went through there a few years back, and it's really amazing to see the kids and how they've grown with this program. And they're even willing to, I believe, to come here and do a presentation. So I'll talk to Mr. Benson about that, because I think clearly with the events of this last month here, we need to do something different to support the mental health needs of all of our students. And again, it's not just mental health needs. There's chemical counselors available. We actually got a grant to provide 1 day a week of drug and chemical counseling now. And I know he mentions that in this report, or something about it anyway. So it's a good, solid program. One of the other things I liked about it was in Hutchinson, they're not just working with school staff, but a lot of businesses in town will provide someone to help 1 day a week. Or they'll have a lot of their leaders are leaders with like churches, like youth group leaders and things like that. And so they're just, it's not a religious program, but these are people that are used to working with kids, and they're good at working with kids. And if they're able to come and help us with a program like that, they're very welcome. So that's just what I wanted to add on that.
I had a quick question. On the school board report here and Mr. Mittens, what was the drop in 25 students from December to January?
I can't answer that off the top of my head. I can find that out and get back to you.
Is there a reason why our admin doesn't come anymore to the meetings?
He had a birthday, his family thing.
But they've been kind of dropping off
Yeah.
lately like flies. Like,
He was at the last.
because they're supposed to, this is part of their deal is to come to the meetings, correct?
I can talk to him in private.
Yeah. Well, not just him, but there's others too then. Probably should be coming so we can ask these questions.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
you want to be careful with.
Okay. Any other questions on the K through 12 report? Okay. The activities report, so that's enclosure number 4 in the packet. I'll point out one thing that the One Act Play performs this coming Saturday in Redwood Falls. It should be on the bold calendar. And then there was a conference update from Derek as well as news on grants to replace the AEDs on that.
Yep.
So, again, email or call Derek with questions. And we will now move on to our community ed report, number 5, enclosure. So it talks about the youth basketball camps up and coming, the YMCA report with items coming, and I'm going to probably just highlight this last paragraph that if you know of someone who's willing to instruct or volunteer or do something for a community ed program, have them please reach out to the Wellness YMCA. Call the district office. We can get you their phone number and email, and it's also in the board packet. So if you go online, you can see it there, but we're always looking for volunteers in the community to put on community ed functions.
Well, and they can build a cost into that and be paid for running some of these things. The problem we've always had in the past is, well, we struggle to find people to do things. And then when we do find someone that wants to put on an activity, then nobody registers for it. So, but I think, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's good that we're asking this here. A lot of people watching, 11 people watching. Somebody might know someone.
Yep. So, okay. Let's move on then to our pool report since Tracy's here in person. Tracy, would you want to give us a verbal report?
We are getting much closer. We had a small glitch last week, but it turned out to be something unrelated to kind of a nightmarish thing. So we're still working on some clarity and some chemicals, but we're much closer to opening. I don't have a date yet because the minute I put out a date is the minute I can't honor it. So I know that people are anxiously awaiting for us to open, and we will when we can.
We've been saying next month since like June, so.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There were a lot more unknowns as we checked the box, and then we tried something, and then we had an issue. We had to resolve that with contractors or parts or both. And then we moved forward to the next step and found another issue. So I think we've got most of it worked out, except for the clarity and the chemicals that we're still working through right now, and cleaning the pool itself.
Any questions for Tracy?
We will hopefully have a meeting sometime in early February. We have one member who's going to be gone at the end of February and one member who's gone right now. So, and we have a meeting set up with Elizabeth and Jim February 1st. So.
And you were communicated the new board members?
I reached out and,
Okay.
and I was informed. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Okay. With that, let's move on to item F, our facilities report, which is enclosure 7 from Denny. Jim, anything to add or clarify on that?
Nope.
Any questions from any of the board members?
I got one. The snow removal repaired, back up and running. What does that mean?
They repaired the snow.
Snow blower?
removal, yeah, the plow, I think.
Oh, they didn't say that. Just snow removal repaired. Okay.
I think it was the brush, actually, they were struggling with.
And number 6, they had the air compressor go down, 130-degree air pump in the elementary classroom, so it was 130 degrees in there.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Denny came in on his day off. I came up.
Over Christmas break.
It was over Christmas
Oh.
break.
Yeah, the rest of us came in and it was obviously hot. in here.
Yeah. When somebody told me it was hot, I thought, well, I better come in and see what that means. And hot really meant really hot.
Hot.
According to the digital thermometer, it was about, there was one place where we found about eye level, it was about 130 degrees.
We had that at the pool.
Yeah, it's happened over there.
It's happened before, unfortunately.
It's a pneumatic system, and if the compressor, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but it flipped the reset switch, and Denny did something to keep it running, but when that goes down, the vents don't open like they're supposed to, and so I'm glad this will be a short-term problem for us, so.
And in turn, it kind of made the tiles come up and
Oh,
peel
yeah.
up because I suppose it got so hot, the glue
It got so
underneath them.
hot, yeah, and the thermometer at one point over, like in the OT room, 185 degrees. So I cook an egg maybe?
That's
Easily.
Well, at least.
That's a year's temperature.
Yeah,
Wow. All right.
but it's all good. We moved all the computers out of rooms. There was a few cactuses that survived. That was about it.
So true, the only damage then was the tile.
Some of the tiles, yeah.
Okay. All right. We're done with facilities. Anything else by anybody before we move on? Okay. Let's move on then to item G, our school board committee reports. I guess we'll start off with committee board members. If you have anything you want to bring up about the MSBA conference as the first item.
It was a fantastic conference. I really enjoyed it. The speakers were wonderful. You could tell that they put a lot of time into this to make this thing happen. One work sessions that me and Greg both attended was 2 communities up in northern Minnesota that were 3 communities. Okay, yeah. And they built a new school and they consolidated together, and they were rivals at one time, and they brought the 3 communities together. So that was really interesting to hear or to listen to. Went to some roundtable sessions on Robert's Rules, which is interesting how that comes about. Well, I shouldn't say it's interesting, but
There's a lot.
the purpose of it and why it's all come about. And so that was it. Listen to that. And another roundtable was what do you do when a board member resigns from your district? So listen to kind of that, what they talked about. So yeah, it was
Good.
very good.
Yeah, as far as some of the other ones I took part in, we were both in kind of similar ones. I sat in on one on facilities, just where to go. It actually happened to be who's doing our facilities.
Nexus.
Nexus.
It was them putting that one on. I sat through that and listened to it. Very interesting. One of the Roberts Rule one was very interesting. One of the things that they talked about in there, and we were visiting a little bit about it afterwards, is the facilitator in there was mentioning that to generally try to have discussion before making motions so you can have your, how did they say that? Basically, so you could
Eliminate the amendments.
eliminate
Yeah.
amendments.
That's not how Robert Rules works.
Oh, well, that's
Well, I think there's numerous kind of Robert's rules though. There's not
Yeah.
just one set one. There's like,
Correct. He
Several
said there are
different
actually several
kinds.
different
Correct.
ones.
It was-
So you
it
can
was Terry
follow.
Morrow who was
Yes,
talking about
it was
this.
Terry that was doing it.
Okay.
And he was just recommending just so your board doesn't get confused on what you're voting on with amendments. It just cleans it up a little bit, makes it a little easier.
Mhm.
That's his recommendation. information. Other than that, yeah, there was so much information from my perspective. It's mind-boggling how much there is to learn. I mean, really. It just, you don't realize the scope of everything the school board gets involved in. So it was eye-opening for me. So
It's a lot to take in the first year. And if, like, I
Yes.
took it both years, first and the second, because the first year it was just like somebody took fireworks in my head. And the second year you kind of catch on and go, okay, yeah, we've done this and now I get this and why this is.
yeah,
I enjoyed taking it, and I'll probably take it next year if I'm able to go again, because you learn something every time you go, something different.
Did you do the whole full 4 hours
Yeah.
of the finance the second time?
Yeah, both of them.
That was a lot of words.
Yeah.
And she said I could sit you up here and if the room could be clear with nobody in here and I could talk for 4 hours on this subject. I was like, wow.
yeah,
So that was a direct quote.
yes.
'Cause you just-
pretty much.
You learn something every time you go. So
Oh,
it's maybe, yeah, sometimes and you're probably sitting there going, okay, I've heard this. And your mind goes wandering elsewhere until you hit another one and go, oh yeah, okay, but I liked it. I was bummed that I didn't get to go this year, but
The people that, like Todd said, the people that put these together, they
They
spend
do.
a lot of time on it.
I'm not very techie. I'm not very computer savvy. And so when the first presenters were talking about AI and coding and some of those things like that, and the lack of computer science that's in schools, that's like 28%, I think Minnesota has, of schools that have a computer science class now. I didn't really know what they were talking about. Yeah, I mean, they were techie enough where was he in Austria or Switzerland?
Yeah.
He buzzed in up on the screen and did his talk. And then he had a lady that was there that also talked to Minnesota, like representative. So he was doing a whole nother thing in another country, but talking about it, how he has a company or a thing that he works for. It's called code.org. Is that correct?
Yep.
So this code.org actually has programs and systems set up that could teach people that aren't computer people how to teach computer science classes, to get it started, to get it in your schools. So it'd be interesting as we go forward, to look into code.org or a company like that and just see what it looks like, or to see how it all works out. So being not techie, then I went to another one on AI and Chat GPT, which Terry Moreau taught that one too. Chat GPT, I didn't really know how it worked, and so they sat down and we did it. They wrote a policy, like, let's write a policy for your school for Chat GPT and how it should be used and not used. And you type in what you want, and 3 seconds later, it prints out a policy for you. And then you can refine it and say, well, I need it for high school. I need it for Minnesota. I need the references, and it'll give you all the stuff. The scary part about Chat GPT, and when it first came out, states were scared of it because it would help students cheat, because they could just go home and just type that in, and 3 seconds later they have a paper that they have to write it on something. So there were some states that really knee-jerked and jumped and said, we got to stop this, and we're going to outlaw it in our state. Like California, I think, was one of the states where they outlawed it in schools and eliminated it. Talking with both the guy that led the conference, our first opening speaker that was big into the coding and stuff, and with Terry Moreau. The problem with that is that the companies that are hiring people now, no matter what field you're going into, they want you to know how to use it. They need you to know that, because that is a huge resource for you. We had one teacher that was discussing the fact that she knew this kid didn't write this poem, couldn't find a way to catch him cheating on it, but knew that they didn't write it because it cited Dickens in the poem, and the kid didn't even know who Dickens was. So, but spent hours trying to reproduce this same document that this kid had. It was just like a poem on frogs or something like that. And then they said, when it came down to it, they're like, you wasted 3 hours trying to catch this kid for cheating. There's got to be better 3 hours that you can do things with, that it shouldn't be something that we're wasting our time instead of helping all these other kids. You're just trying to catch one kid that cheated. So if you want to teach critical thinking and stuff, the way people were brainstorming in the class was like, you got to You're gonna have to organize it so you do more of it in your classroom. If you want to see what they're doing and you want to make sure they do the process, you're gonna have to do it in class. You're not gonna be able to say, write a paper on this, bring it in tomorrow, because then you have access to it. But there's even like college people doing their doctorates and dissertations, and they're citing ChatGPT as some of their references. They're using it. So it's out there and it's the future. And so at some point you have to know how to rein it in so that you can use it. But our students are going to have to know how to use it at some point. And one thing they said for teachers, like to write a policy or to write they wrote a lesson plan on dissecting a frog. Just type it in. I need a lesson plan for dissecting a frog for 5th graders. Tells you your objectives, tells you what you're going to need, tells you it's going to take 2 class sessions of 50 minutes each. Here's the information that you go over. Within 5 to 10 seconds, it gives you all that information. So that gives the teacher more time to focus on their students and not spending 4 hours writing a lesson plan. So it can be a very positive thing, but it's something that they have to get figured out. So it's in the process, but it's something students are going to have to know how to use going forward. The scary part is ChatGPT just pulls everything off the internet and everything and so there's not a guarantee that something that they pull off the internet is not false. That's where it has.
I would add to that. I was talking to Andy Johnson about a month ago, and with his new job in Iowa, they use AI. I don't think it's ChatGPT, but they use AI. They record with the patient's consent. They record the visit, and then it does the summary of the entire visit. And so he still has to go through and verify everything in there, but it saves an hour of sitting down and typing up all of those notes. So we're finding this to be used in a lot of different places.
Yep. And the other one I went to was on Owatonna School built a brand new school, but they had a lot of monies put in from different businesses, and they're fortunate. They have some really big businesses there. One of the biggest is Federated Insurance is based in Owatonna, and they said we need 400 and some workers. So why don't we train people at the school? We'll help. We'll give you, I think it was $22 million or $20 million, and $2 million for the land that they built the school on. And then there was they have Viacom as a big company that makes glass, like it's in the U.S. Bank Stadium. Mayo Clinic put a good chunk of money into it, but then they set up classrooms and they set up areas to help train kids and teach them about some of the things they have in their community that are available for them, so they can teach them, show them we have jobs here. If they go off to college, that they'll maybe want to come back and work in that community because there's things there that they've already done, maybe some internships with some of these companies as they were going through school too. So the biggest thing he said there is, if you have businesses where they're big or small, whether they give $100 or $1 million, you just got to ask. It's not going to hurt you to ask. So yeah, it was good. Enjoyed it.
Okay, that's on MSBA. Were there any other committee reports for tonight? Okay, then let's move on to new business, section 8. So the first item would be third reading of policy 506, student discipline. I'll entertain a motion to table this until the February meeting.
So move.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved by member Sheehan and seconded by member Bowen to table the third reading of policy 506, student discipline, to the February regular meeting. Any discussion?
We modified the policy itself because it's been posted online and it said, insert your procedures here. And so Brett and I have been working, Brett's been working on putting in procedures in there, and we haven't had time to look at it and discuss it. And I think after talking to Todd, we need to take some time with this.
Correct.
I think you and Brian will talk about it.
Yeah.
Look at it.
We'll take a look at it in
Yeah.
this policy committee. There's a lot of suggested changes
Yeah.
from the new model policy based on state statute that we need to incorporate that word in the draft. So it needs to be tabled. So, okay, any other discussion? Okay, let's move to vote then on tabling the third reading of policy 506 student discipline till the February 2024 regular meeting. All in favor of tabling, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Okay, motion carries to table the third reading of policy 506 to the February meeting. Okay. So let's move on now to the second reading of policy 503, student attendance. That's enclosure 9 in your packet. Any questions on that? I did find some things that we do need to modify in that. It's not substantial, but it's some minor things. And I'll send that on to you, Jim and Amy, and to bring for the next meeting. Anything else by anyone? Okay, let's move then on to item C. That'd be the first reading of policy 101, the legal status of the school district. That's enclosure 10 in the packet. I'll say the same thing. I've got a few minor changes to the policy based on an updated model policy from MSBA. And I'll give that to you, Jim and Amy, and
You could send them to me too.
and I'll send it to you as well, Brian, when I
That's good.
send it. Yep.
Thanks.
And I'll do the same thing on that 503 as well that we just talked about.
That's good.
Okay, anything else on 101? Okay, so then let's move on to item D. That's the first reading of policy 102, the equal educational opportunity. That's enclosure 11 in our packet. Same thing. I found some things based on the model policy. So I'll send that on to Brian and you and Jim. Anything else from any other member? Okay, then we will now move on to item E. And that would be to designate James Menton, superintendent, as the identified official with authority to MDE, that's the Minnesota Department of Education, external user access recertification system. Is there a motion?
So moved. Go on.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by member Bowen and seconded by member Peppel to designate James Menton, superintendent, as the identified official with authority to Minnesota Department of Education external user access recertification system. Discussion.
This is an annual item. We usually do it later in the school year, but we saw Wilmer's doing it now, and that makes a lot of sense because what this allows me to go in and put people into the system and allow them to, like the special ed director, allows them to see special ed information, private special education information from our district, or our testing coordinators, or a school nurse, or just about anybody that has to have any kind of information from the state. You don't want to not get this done. So it's we'll do it now.
Okay, any other questions or any discussion by the board? Any questions or discussion? Any discussion? We'll move now to vote then to designate James Menton, superintendent, as the identified official with authority to Minnesota Department of Education Eternal User Access Certification System. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. All right, we will now move on to item F, and that would be to adopt a resolution directing the administration to consider discontinuing and reducing educational programs and positions. Jim, do you want to give a little quick information on this background before we do start it?
Again, this is an annual item. It doesn't mean that we're getting rid of any programs. It doesn't mean we're laying anyone off. But in order to do that, if we found out that there was a problem with the budget and we have to have this resolution in place. So we do it every year, I believe, at this same January meeting. sometimes February.
Okay. So with that, I'll start reading the resolution and I'll ask members to state your name. So member
Benson.
Benson introduced the following resolution and moved its adoption. Resolution to consider discontinuing and reducing educational programs and positions. Whereas the School Board of Independent School District number 2534 adopted a resolution on January 22nd, 2024 to consider the discontinuance of programs or positions and directing the administration to make recommendations to the school board for discontinuance of programs, curtailment of programs, discontinuance of positions, or curtailment of positions. The motion for the adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly seconded by member
Sheehan.
Sheehan, and upon vote being taken thereon, the following voted in favor thereof. And so we'll do a roll call vote. Member Sheehan,
Aye.
member Benson,
Aye.
member Bowen,
Aye.
member Peppel,
I,
and member Frank is an aye as well. No member is absent. And this resolution was declared and adopted today. Okay. Okay. All right, let's move on now to item G. That would be discussion of applicants for the open seat vacated by member Jacobs and a recommendation to proceed with the prospective resolution to appoint. So this is a discussion item, and assuming we can come to concurrence on a prospective candidate to put in the resolution, that would be item H on the agenda. So we'll start with item G. And I think probably the most appropriate way to do that would be to talk about the candidates and what stood out by, and looking over their applications. So is there a board member who wants to start?
Well, what I did is I took them all. And I took the questions and I put their names under each question and put what their answers were. This is how I did it, because I think every one of them is a good applicant. So for me to be fair, I just kind of went through them all and I got two. They're exactly the same number. So I got a stalemate here. So that's kind of where I
Okay.
came up with Asaf and Fleming both at the same number. So either one of them would be fine.
Okay. Another member? Any discussion?
She's right. I guess for me, it would be one of those two as well. Both have strength in different ways, but both are just quality. So
Mhm.
it's a tough. Yeah, why make it so tough? But it's a great problem to have. I mean, I was very thankful
Yes.
that we had options. That was spectacular. So I appreciate all of them signing up.
I did the same thing. I read all the applications and the questions and stuff, and it's a tough decision, and it's not an easy one to make. Like Brian said, it's a good problem to have. I guess I'm leaning towards Brad right now. That would be who I'd support. Just with his experience managing social service for so many years. He has a little bit of the business managing it. He has a little bit of involvement in all parts of the business. So that would be who I'd support right now.
Craig?
yeah, and as far as from my perspective, I thought two of them, Brad and Craig both had good content. Brad had very good detail in his answers. I liked them. I've worked with Craig in the past with robotics as well, so I know Craig a little bit through that. Very upstanding person too. Honestly, I could go either way on either candidate, I think.
Okay.
Or grab my spot.
No, I prefer not to go.
We don't need the whole
We're having
board.
to do this another time in the near future. When the questions were put together, one of the things that a board needs is trust among members, right? And I don't know how many of you are following the news in the state right now, but the state's largest school district has a 6-member board and they're split. They have not elected a board chair. And it's all an issue of trust in that district. And I don't know how they're gonna resolve it, but they have to get it resolved. And so trust is, in my mind, a big thing for a board to be functioning, to serve the students, to serve the taxpayers. And I think with that said, I think we have 2 very viable candidates with Brad and Craig on the trust side. By board members and the majority of the district, right? So I think we're probably to a point here where we've got a name that can probably go on the resolution. But we got to decide. So I think we've got it narrowed down to 2 candidates at this point. And I think everyone agrees on that at this point, correct? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so with that, now we need to do some hair splitting and figure out what name we want to put on the resolution. So, is there something that stood out with one of the candidates when you guys assessed when each of you assessed their applications?
I guess I would say this, and this is just an observation that I've had just within the last probably about 45 seconds. I've been really thinking about it a long time. Like I said, both candidates spectacular. I think either one would be great on your board. Craig has family that's a part of the school, that is in the school, and that plays a huge role in our school. Who we listen to. She's a staple in our school, and we all trust her. I think that having that connection would be something where we're going to be able to hear Craig's thoughts through Margaret if he has anything that he would want us to know. So this is nothing against Craig. I'm just saying, as a representative for the school, their family has a representative at our school that's doing a spectacular job and doing really hard work. So not to go to say anything bad about Craig, but I guess I would lean towards Brad just in the fact that they're both neck and neck. That's something where that's another voice to come from the outside, from the community. Sorry.
So Todd, you mentioned earlier you were leaning towards Brad.
Brad, just because for the fact that, managing the company and dealing with employees, dealing with the budget, dealing with finances and everything that he listed on here, that's, I think, means a lot. So,
His connection with the farming community.
yep, that's another point. So, yeah, that's who I would lean towards, Brad.
I'm not sure what the farming community has to do with it so much as on the board side, but
No, it
Um,
just, yeah.
I mean, but
I know
he
what you
has
mean.
connections. Yes, he does. And I do understand, I get where you're coming from, you know, like there could be a miscommunication between employees at the school. If Craig was to get on, that could be, not saying it would be, but it could be a issue. And I don't know either of them. I have no clue. I mean, I met him on the way in the door tonight. And I've never really sat down and talked to Brad or anything either. So I really don't know what they're like in a normal situation or a regular situation, every day, whatever. But I get where you're saying it could be an issue for us if the perception's always there.
As far as,
If Craig would get on the board, the perception there could be an issue, and not just for us, but for Margaret too on the other end. It could be backlash from staff. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there, perception wise. I don't know. And I don't want that to happen either. But I think they would both be very good on the board. But I guess I never thought about the connection there. Either one is fine with me. I would be fine with either way you go. How about you, Greg? It's not easy.
it's not easy. Yeah, honestly, like I say, I can go either way. Craig and I have had a good working relationship through robotics. Craig worked for 1 year with us and helped as a volunteer mentor, and great guy. I don't doubt he'd do wonderful. I don't know Brad personally. What he put down for answers looked very good too. So honestly, as a board member, I could go either way. I literally could.
Okay. I think I will propose that we recommend Brad Osseth for the resolution. Do you as members, would you agree to end discussion and proceed to the resolution?
Either way, makes no difference.
All right, we will end item G and we'll move on to item H, which is our resolution.
You want to give the specifics on this, just for, so people know how long this term lasts and
Very,
when it comes,
yes.
flips over.
We have not ending discussion. I will give the specifics about that. So this vacant seat will run through early January 2025 as an appointment. At that point, the seat goes up in the general election of November of 2024, and this would be part of 4 board members' seats that would be on that ballot question on the November 5th, 2024 election. So it would be the seat vacated by member Jacobs and would be on that ballot question. The seat of member Sheehan, the seat of
Ally Johnson.
of member Bowen and
Buchdahl.
And
Oh, Buchdahl,
yes,
like
and the seat vacated by member Buchdahl, which falls in the same thing. So those 4 are part of that question on November ballot. So this individual that we appoint tonight would serve up to that point
Through the rest of this year.
through the rest of this year, essentially, and a few days into January, until the election is certified. And then they would be sworn in and at the organizational meeting in January 2025, whoever the candidate is, or that would supersede in that position.
It'd be great to have some of those people that maybe
Sign up,
applied
So-
to
Yeah.
run in November.
please do.
Any other questions from board members on that? And then also reiterate that, because you asked about LEC, that is a special question alone on that same ballot for only that one seat. So Greg, your appointment ends actually earlier than that. And then the community gets to vote on, so when people file, you're either filing for one of those 4 seats I previously mentioned, or this special question that will be on that ballot that would fill Ellie Johnson's vacated seat that Greg's currently appointed into.
So there'd be 5?
There'll be 5 members
Oh.
turning over.
Yeah.
Potentially.
One of them.
So you and I are the only 2 that are safe.
Well, that are not.
Sounds like we're playing a game.
Yeah, we're not.
One will be for
Yeah.
2 years and the other will be 4 years.
Yeah,
And then, so the seat, Ally's vacated seat that Greg's appointed in right now, that one would go back up for election when Sandy and I go up for election.
Sounds good.
For our seats, I should say.
yeah.
So. Okay, any questions on that on clarification? Okay. All right. All right, then let's now move on to item H, so the resolution. And so the person who makes the motion, I'll ask that you submit the name on the resolution. So let's move on to item H, the resolution filling the school board vacancy by appointment for the seat vacated by Teresa Jacobs. So this will be in action. All right, the resolution filling the school board vacancy by appointment. Member Sheehan introduced the following resolution and moved its adoption. Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District number 2534 as follows. Whereas a vacancy exists in the office of school board member with a term expiring the first Monday in January 2025, and whereas the vacancy occurred more than 90 days prior to the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November in the year the vacancy occurred and prior to the 4th year of the vacant term. Now therefore be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District number 2534, State of Minnesota as follows. Pursuant to Minnesota statute, section 123B.09, subdivision 5B, the name?
Brad Asseth.
Brad Asseth is hereby appointed to fill the vacancy and to serve until a successor is elected and qualified. The appointment shall be effective 30 days after the adoption of this resolution unless a valid petition to reject the appointee is filed with the school district clerk pursuant to Minnesota statute section 123B.09 subdivision 5BB within that 30-day time period. Therefore, be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District number 2534, State of Minnesota as follows. The motion for adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly seconded by member
Bowen.
Bowen, and upon vote being taken thereon, the following voted in favor thereof. And we need to do a roll call vote. Member Sheehan,
Aye.
member Benson,
Hi,
member Bowen,
Aye.
member Peppel,
Aye.
and member Frank is an aye as well. No one voting against, no one was absent. The foregoing resolution was approved this 22nd day of January 2024. Okay. So now we need to, we've got enclosure 15 in your packet. So that would be this added resolution. So this is to adopt a resolution. It would have been handwritten on an enclosure 14, but it's actually enclosure 15. So change that, please. Yep, that should be enclosure 15. So it's to adopt a resolution relating to $39,950,000 general obligation school building bonds, Series 2024A, ratifying the award of sale, prescribing the form and details, and providing payment thereof. And this will be a resolution. So, Member Peppel introduced the following resolution, moved its adoption, which motion was seconded by Member
Bowen.
Bowen. Okay. So this is a 16-page resolution. I will not read it, but the resolution is as printed in your board packet that's to be passed. And also it is available online on the board packet for the community. So as published on the board packet online. We will now move to the vote being taken on this resolution. So those voting in favor thereof are Member Sheehan,
Aye.
Member Benson,
Aye.
Member Bowen,
Aye.
Member Peppel. Member Frank is an aye as well. And no one voting against, whereupon this resolution was duly declared passed and adopted today, January 22nd, 2024. Okay. All right, now we're ready to move on to item J. So I will entertain a motion to move into closed session under Minnesota statute 13.d.05 subdivision D3 for a mid-year performance evaluation of James Benton Superintendent, subject to board authority. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Member Bowen and seconded by Member Benson to move into the closed session under Minnesota statute 13.d.05 subdivision 3 for a mid-year performance evaluation of James Benton Superintendent, subject to board authority. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, with that, we'll move to vote on moving into the closed session. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries to move into the closed session. So we'll discontinue this recording. We'll do the closed session, then we'll come back, open the meeting, and adopt a resolution for the gifts and do the upcoming dates and then adjourn our regular meeting. All right. Okay, stream is ending.